Problem suggests we need to find a pair. The pair should be such that if this is I and this is j, then values of I, which is 8, and values of I, which is 5, values of I and j are such that this equation gives the maximum score. This is the score, and it should give the maximum score. I and j will be 0, 2. This is minus 2. 8 plus 5 is 13. 13 minus 2 is 11, which is the first case scenario. What we can do is we can just consider all the pairs and check whatever is the maximum score in all pairs. But that is O of n square, not efficient if 10 to the power 5 comes as the constraint. We need some better way. Do we always need all the pairs? Not really, because when we are traversing the array, can we utilize something we have seen in the past to our advantage? If we carefully look at the equation, it just says I'll just take these values as arrays. Okay, so now if I can say that my equation boils down to something like array of I plus array of j plus I minus j, this can also be rewritten as array of I plus I, comma, this part plus array of j minus j. And these two are I comma j are two separate, where I is always less than j. These are only the pairs we need to consider according to the question. So now what we can do is, if 8 comma 1 comma 5 comma 2 comma 6 is the array, if we consider 2 as my j, then all these values are contenders for I, right? So we need the maximum of these. So now while I am traversing I from 0 to n, what I can do is I can just keep a count what will be the maximum. So this part only needs I and this part only needs j. Now the maximum value of score depends on maximum value of this plus the maximum value of this. So this thing we can just pre-compute and keep it in a one variable. So what we can do now is just at any index x of k, suppose x of 1 to x of k minus 1. Now what we are saying is, if I consider this as j equal to k, then in these I will already have my previous value, which is array of I comma I. So any I in here, but the maximum one will be in this variable. We can look at the answer. We have just taken a m as the size of the array and answer as int minimum, though it will change in the future. We'll just take I maximum. So for all the i's before j, this is our value. So a of I plus i's max value till now is seen by this variable. So now what we can do is we can just compute the answer for each index, in the sense we can just go from 8 to 1. 8 is the first, so a of I plus I will also be equal to 8. When we go to 1 as my j, I'll just look at this part and say what is the maximum before that I have, plus what is the maximum I can get from this. So this will give me a of j minus j, right? And this already gave me 8. So I'll just add these both and compare it with the answer, and it is obviously greater than int minimum, so it will be replaced in the answer. And then what I have to do, I have to add this into the contention, because when I move my j over here to 5, I have to consider all the possibilities as I. So these both contenders will now fight amongst each other in this line, and we'll see that still a of I plus I on this index was still greater than a of I plus I on this index. So it will still be 8 only, that a of I plus I value which is stored in IMA, right? This will do until we'll reach n minus 1. When we reach n minus 1, which is this value, we know that we have computed for all the i's over here and j if it is that. So basically what we are saying is, while traversing, we are just keeping account of the maximum seen a of I contention. And then updating the answer. So at any index we'll be looking at all these as possible i's, and this j we are considering that if I consider this in my pair, so my I comma j is such that I is less than j, and a of I comma a of j is my answer pair. I just needed the maximum score. We did not need to store pair, so we don't need to even consider what is the index at which that maximum happened. So this is more than enough for the solution to pass. And the time complexity is order of n because it is a single pass, and the space complexity is order of 1 because we are not storing anything apart from these constant variables, constant number of variables.